Here we go. Hey, everybody, and welcome to a conversation with Darcy and TVA, or better known as Tonbad Halen. I mean, Todd Van Allen from the from the OU812 album. I mean,
that's right.
Podcast.
Yes. Yeah, that's. By the way, Bob, that's not even the worst butchering of my name I've ever gotten.
Really?
Oh no! I once got on as hi, I'm Todd Van Allen, and they went Tom Banana, and I went, sure, yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with that.
That's my alter ego.
Yes.
I do children's parties as Tom Banana, as well as bachelorette parties. It works either way. Doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, the pants are different.
That's right. Exactly. The pants are there's less pants in one.
Yeah.
So, guys, so you're from the Okay, So Here's One podcast, which had a different name.
Yes.
Which was, I can't remember. It was like Top Bunk, or what was it called?
Right. Right. Darcy, why don't you take him through the history of the lineage of the show?
Yeah, tell me about it, Darcy.
All right.
Yeah.
So when did it start, Todd? I don't remember what year.
Oh, I know.
Long time ago.
19.
Yeah. Nope.
We sent it out on cassettes, I remember.
Oh, were you? Okay, it was Sneaker Net.
It was a bonus with our zine, yeah.
Yes, it was an oratory sermon that I would deliver, and we recorded on these little cassette tapes. And then Darcy, yes, and then Darcy mailed them out. Yes.
Oh, very nice.
No, I don't know what the year was. It was when the internet was big. Do you remember when that year was?
I think it's still big. So I'm, are you talking like it's infancy big, or
I think
steps kind of big, or
just prior to 2.0?
Okay, so
like
back
I think
in the probably
No,
early
I think
2000s.
it was after. I think it was what?
Was it
2007, 8, 9?
When did we stop saying WWW? It was right then.
That was after, I think it was like 1949.
Okay.
We just did two W's.
Right. And then there was a number afterwards, I remember, in like 1919, and then
there was another one.
There was another number in 1939. That was a big one. And then
we're waiting for the third W.
So. Right. And then there was a WWF, and for a long time I thought that was for pandas, but then guys started hitting each other with chairs, and then there was a court order, and then it was a WWE. That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
And then they threw everybody into a tizzy because you know what? It's entertainment. I didn't even realize that.
No, they had to tell you.
Yeah, I was like, what?
What's the E stand for? The E stands for, you still watch this? I thought you were more older than 14. I honestly, okay. So no, Darcy, when did it start? It started like 2007, 2008?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Darcy doesn't even want to chime in on this anymore. He's like,
I mean, so the first iteration was called the TVA podcast.
Correct.
Oh,
and at some point, you thought you didn't want to have your name on it. You didn't say anything about what the show was.
After the first few episodes,
you know what? Get me off of this. Take my name off of this show.
Right.
Think about something else here.
I wanted to go by Brian Lobard. I just wanted to get out of this. And
around that time, you were hosting an open mic comedy night.
Correct.
Called Comedy Above the Pub.
Correct.
That's what it was.
Perfect.
Above the Pub. I knew it was something
we'll
else.
name it Comedy
About
Above
something
the Pub.
higher than your normal height, but not so high that you're in the sky.
So Darcy is really skipping through a few details here. Darcy was a bleeding edge technology guy around the 2000 times, right?
I can tell because of the air conditioner that he's utilizing still today.
That big block, and if you look at the shelf, the 85 thermoses that he has up there.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
Right. Here's a little game for you to play. Figure out which one's the fleshlight. So Darcy came to me.
He lifted that can up, and I was going to be
like, there it is. So Darcy came to me. I was doing a radio show at the time. I was doing a call-in segment for a radio station in Brockville, near what my hometown was in Ontario. Mm-hmm. And I would do like this Thursday morning spot for them. And Darcy came to me and said, you need to do a podcast. And to which I said, that's awesome. What's a podcast? And then he described it to me, and I went, how much work do I got to do for this?
Oh, there you go.
So then he said, let's just grab the audio from the radio spots. We'll put that out, and that'll be a podcast.
There you go.
So
first you have to get a Keurig, and then you can have a podcast.
Exactly. So this went on for a while, and then I got a second show in Kingston, where it's a drive-by spot. So we had like two things that we could post out. So it was like we doubled our content.
There you go.
We just doubled it. And by the way, Darcy, I'm just going to tell you, Mark Maron twice a week, us twice a week before him, doesn't fucking add up. That's all I'm saying. I'm sorry, Bob. Can I switch on this? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go right ahead.
Good. Okay. All right. Okay.
I mean, come on. You got a fleshlight mentioned before that. What the hell?
Right. So, well, fleshlight, people can just Google that. I said a swear. That's worse.
They can Google that as well.
That's true. That's true. What's that word?
Yeah. What's that?
I've never been to a construction site.
Wait a minute.
Okay. So then it happened. We used Skype to do like an intro to lead into the segments.
Oh, okay.
And so we would hop on Skype and go, okay, so here's me in Brockville, and then here's me in Kingston. Mm-hmm. And then our conversations got longer and longer and longer. And then to the point where we went, well, we should get some guests.
There you go.
Okay, well, I'll see if any of my fellow comedian friends have Skype.
Now, did Mark Maron have guests before this? I'm trying to follow the thing.
Did he?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out.
The originals must have, right?
The very first ones I remember him just being by himself.
Yeah.
What this was. He had no idea. Right. Again, someone suggested he should have one. He had just got fired from radio.
Right.
And he was trying to figure out his next move. And someone said, podcast.
Is getting fired from radio a prerequisite for this kind of stuff?
Well, I actually got... No, because I got fired afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Right. They those segments dried up, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. So we had, so we then eventually split the show. There was a show where we had comic friends of mine. It was at episode 50, I remember. So we had two separate feeds. We had the TVA podcast, which was originally the radio clips. Mm-hmm. And then it went into me talking with my friends over Skype as guests, and then the other one was the TVA radio replay.
Yeah.
And that was where the radio clips live. So they got shoved to the side with this new brand thing. And then we got this. So then I took over this comedy show, and it was this empty room above a pub in Toronto. So I called it Comedy Above the Pub.
There you go.
Right.
I mean, yeah, genius, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
What are we going to call it? I don't know. It's called a pub.
Well, what is it exactly? if like 4 words or less.
I Googled what should the title be, and they said descriptive, and I said, okay, I got a perfect title.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So then what we did is we moved the podcast into the space, and so before the show, I would bring in my comic friends who would do the show afterwards. And so we would have like the conversation beforehand, we'd break for dinner, and then we would do the show.
Free dinner then? These guys get free dinner for dinner?
No, they paid for it.
Oh,
no.
God, okay.
This was podcast money back then, Bob. There's
I don't know. I'm just asking.
No, we didn't have stamps.com. There was no sponsor. Squarespace was a glint in some developer's eye at that point. We had nothing.
True.
We had nothing.
That's true.
So then, and this went on for quite a while. And then the bar that I was doing it at found out that they could make way more money doing bootleg poker than they ever could with my little comedy show.
It was poker above the pub.
Yes, it was. And we didn't have license for that. So that we got we got thumbed out of that one.
God,
So then we just started recording it in my house. At that point,
did you change the name to Comedy at My House?
Which became
would have been good
because
that's
Todd's freezing up. Apparently, we said Comedy at the House.
I'm on a hard line. I'm on a hard line. How is that possible? Am I back?
You're back.
No, I had to tell my wife to stop streaming.
Yeah.
Ah!
What's that to do?
What's she watching? Zero? We just got done watching episode 2 of that. That's pretty crazy.
I watched that. Are you going to keep watching it?
Oh yeah. It's like, right. Does he have mental problems or not?
Your guess is as good as mine.
You just saw it. You don't give me. Thank you for not giving me spoilers, Bob.
I didn't. I watched it. Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
Right.
It's hard not to change subjects, but real quick, it's hard to watch Robert De Niro as a, upstanding citizen.
Yes, correct.
I don't believe it.
Yeah. Like, honestly, there isn't one moment in that movie that series when he's on screen that I'm waiting for Joe Pesci to walk in with a pen.
Exactly. Or he gets into the bullpen with a baseball bat. I want his family dead. I want his children dead. I want his dog dead. Sorry.
Well, no,
so anyway, it's
not the Chicago way. That's right. Yeah. So we got out of the house and we made one of the rooms an actual studio. So then we just had people come over and we would do the recording then. Now,
did Mark Maron do that first?
He has never done that. He's never done our show. I asked him.
Well, no, he had a studio. I think he had it in his
he had it in his garage. Right. That's right. So
he was in his she shed or whatever.
Yeah. So we had a room. We had an actual room. And then people would show up because they would get booked for because a publicist would call us and go, "Hey, you want to do this podcast?" And it's like, cool. So they would send the guest over, thinking it was above a pub, and then it's just like some house in Toronto. They're like, "Well, this can't be right."
I knew Toronto had the city of Toronto had a drinking problem, but I didn't realize it was so bad that every house is a pub.
Every house is a pub. More to the point is there were like female guests where it was like, if I don't text you in 5 minutes, call the police.
They're
but then they would come in
everywhere.
We would make coffee or tea, and then they would come upstairs, and we would do the conversation, and then we would go about their day, and then that was it. Yeah,
that's cool. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We did that for a while.
We did that for a while.
Yeah. Do we have a date on that, Darcy? Because you apparently are the person that logs the dates.
Oh, well, I'll tell you when the last episode in the house happened. COVID.
Yeah.
Oh.
COVID stopped everything.
Oh,
So that's when we moved to Zoom. Mm-hmm. And then I moved to Ottawa, and then it occurred to me that, hey,
I left everything back in Toronto in that house.
Exactly. It's like, well, we can still do this. We can still do this, and so we now just do it over, the technology platform that is Zoom. So
I think
Darcy, you're from everybody else, right?
I'm still in Toronto. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I think we kind of thought maybe the show was done. Maybe we didn't know what we were gonna do. COVID hit, you moved.
Right. Yes.
Didn't know. And then we realized, everyone has switched to Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
We can do this too.
we can do this too. And by the way, I'm sort of glad because the last guest that we had in the live studio, not going to end that way. No. I know him. He's a comic friend of mine. I'm just shitting for the sake of shitting on him. That's.
I was going to say, what did he do?
Nothing. He's just he just got hit for no reason. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, he's like, Mark Maron has little mints. I got a granola bar and a juice box. What do you guys
right. Do you want some coffee to make you shit your pants?
So then now why did you move to Ottawa of all things?
The top two reasons are my wife's work kind of took us there.
Oh, okay. She's the breadwinner. She makes all the cash.
Yes. And
podcast was way more successful.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, yes. She got into true crime. Why didn't we see that, Darcy?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah.
Doesn't that make you sick, the true crime things? I mean,
oh my God. Just
I can't, I don't like it.
The fact that they're popular? Yes, that actually drives me nuts.
A quick story here. So we've been doing our show for a while, and my wife doesn't care. And the next thing I know, I think it was probably 2019 or 2018. I see a thing on the Apple thing. It said it was a charge for a podcast.
Right.
And I'm like, what the hell? I've been doing this and you don't care. And now you're paying someone else. Well, no, you want to understand. I get early access. It's a true crime podcast. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Okay. Right. Are they going to solve it while you're listening to it?
No, they just, they just talk about somebody's dead.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. But Selena Gomez is so nice.
That's right. I didn't know she'd kill him.
Yes.
But no, I don't get. I'm really not on the true crime thing. It was a whole serial, thing from NPR or whatever that kind of drove a lot of that. But
correct.
Isn't that a shame? I think it's a shame. But I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. Other than what? Maybe you change the name of your show to Comedy at the End of the Block in the Dead End Street in the Dead of the Night, and you just kill the guest at the end.
Yes.
Every show.
There's well, that takes a lot of choreography because we've got to. No, the logistics are painful because we have to figure out where they're recording.
Darcy's like, as long as it happens in Ottawa, I don't really care.
Well, no, because you would have to find our guest wherever they're living, find a hitman that would be able to go into the place where they're recording, and then well, thank you, and then they come up behind them, and then and then the screen goes black, and then
well, I don't know. It's still a work in progress. Let's put it.
Yeah, we'll keep workshopping.
Let's put a pin in that. We'll call it TVA.
We'll run it. We'll run it up the flag and see what happens. And,
we could call it TVA DOA.
All right, there we go. Working title.
What do you think?
There we go. Yes.
So, speaking of titles, we didn't get to our current title of the podcast.
Oh, right. Is this
there
one
it
here?
is.
There it is. Yeah, that guy. Right. So we hit 23 seasons of Comedy of the Hub.
Okay, I always ask everybody this question. What is a season?
25 episodes for us.
And how did you come up with that?
Well, at the time that we were starting out, we really didn't have any templates for the way that this was supposed to be done. And we both listened to this podcast hosted by Jimmy Pardo, comedian.
I was listening
in
to
LA.
Mark Maron there.
Right. Well, no, because he just does numbers, and like quite a few other podcasts have since come on it. But Jimmy Pardo did like 25 episode seasons, and we just looked at each other and went, "Well, I guess this is how it's supposed to be done."
Yeah, I guess
we're stealing everything
Pardo
else
knows what he's
that
doing.
show is doing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
He's married to Chekhov's daughter.
Correct.
Daniel.
Yes.
So of course
Danielle
he knows
Koenig.
what he's doing. Gosh. Well, okay, that's interesting. So I'm always curious what people call a season because there's no structure to that. I have over 2,000 seasons.
We've done 3 in this episode.
And how long is the season for you, Bob?
About 25 minutes.
There you go. Perfect.
If you're counting, just say.
If you're counting, get the calculator out and start adding, and then divide by a big number. So we did like 23 seasons of that, and it literally was. I got to talk to like one of my. It turned out to be like one of my comedy idols because I honestly I don't know how it happened. I can't remember how we landed him on the show, but there's a comedian by the name of Dylan Brody. Mm-hmm. I just followed him on Twitter, and I remember seeing him on like Evening at the Improv, and like when I was like, before I was doing stand up, and even while I was starting out, I would just record as soon as like, there's stand up on, and I would tape it, and he was one of the guys that I taped. And I would just go through the tapes and just walk him. It's like, oh, I got like an hour. I'll just watch an hour worth of stand-up clips from Evening of the Improv or The Tonight Show or Letterman or wherever I tape these things from.
Mm-hmm.
And Dylan Brody was always one of those guys I remember. And I just found him on Twitter one day, and he was promoting something, and I just went, as you do, every time you type these things into the void, you just go, hey, you want to be on my podcast? And then you just watch the cobweb go from your skeleton head to the mouse, as you dry and desiccate and have done. But he replied almost immediately and said, I would love to do it. So, okay, so here we go. And so the first time he came on, it was on Comedy Above the Pub, and we got through all of my fanboying fairly quickly, and then we got to the meat of the conversation, and we had a great time. And then we kind of cut tape, and it's like, okay, fine, we're just talking still on Zoom at the end of the episode, and we started just jamming street jokes at each other. I don't know how it started, but someone said, it was probably Darcy. Darcy went, hey, I have something.
Yeah. It sounds like me.
Right. Two Jews walk into a bar, and then already I'm like, well, that's anti-Semitic. And and we just kept going, and it had this feel of when you're in, and it's like one of my favorite moments when you're doing comedy is when you're in that lag time, when you're waiting for the second show to start after the first show, and everyone's in the green room, you're just hanging out, or the headliner's on and you're hosting, you're with the other comics, when you have that moment kind of in the green room and you're all amongst yourselves. Mm-hmm. And someone, for whatever reason, will just throw out a joke or make reference to a joke. And then someone will go, okay, so here's one. And then they drop out theirs. And then everyone laughs. And then, oh, we do. And then it just becomes like this kind of yes and of street jokes.
Gotcha. There you go.
And I was describing the show to Darcy. I was like, I think I want to rebrand. I think I want it to be this, where, we have the conversation, just kind of like the regular show that we always had, where we're talking with people, but at the end, they're on the hook for a joke, because and I literally said to him, I don't know what we call it. It's like, okay, so here's one. It's like, there's the name.
Trademark.
Okay, so here's one. And I was like, yeah, because that's the thing. And the first episode we did was with Blaine Capatch, who you may remember from, he did an awful lot of At Midnight, but prior to that, what I remember him from was he was the host of this game show on Comedy Central called Beat the Geeks.
Okay, yeah. I remember that.
So that's Blaine Capatch. He is a brilliant stand-up. One of the guys, again, that I had taped when I was young. And just a joke machine. Mm-hmm. When you think you have one good one, he's got 8. He's just a fire hose of comedy, but he's also a repository for street jokes. So he came on the first episode, and we're like, okay, what's your favorite street joke? And he gave us 12, I think, the first episode.
Wow.
He just bam. I guess, here's another. And we've had him on since, and he's like, I don't want to repeat myself. He goes, fucking repeat yourself. We've had the giraffe joke 5 times. I mean, honestly, don't worry about it. So, and then as soon as that episode wrapped, I was like, well, this is what the show has to be, and that's what I wanted to be. And with very few exceptions, I think we've only had 1, maybe 2 guests over the course that came completely unprepared and
you kind of tell them you're going to bring a joke. That's part of the email.
Right. And yours, by the way, your first time, it was gorgeous. It was okay. Because you remember it.
I remember the joke, but that's because I stole it.
Well, yeah, that's what a street joke is. No, it's yes. They're on the ground. They're found art. That's what they do, right?
It's like picking up litter.
Yes, that's exactly. You take out the garbage, and they go, "Oh, well, this I can
drop
use."
a few crumbs. I'll take those.
That's right.
Yeah, those are good.
Now, if we wanted to make it more complicated, we could have limited it to the kind of the jazz riff joke instead of the kind of just wordplay dad joke.
Right.
That would be even harder, I think. For
people. Oh my God. Okay, so already I'm thinking of like half the guests that we've had would just go, just deer in the headlights, like.
Oh, hold on a second, Todd. Hold on. 3, 2, 1, 2001 seasons. Thank you, everyone.
Gorgeous.
Thank you for making us cross over the 2000 mark.
This is so great. This is so awesome.
I didn't think we'd make it, folks. I'm sorry to interrupt. Okay, go ahead.
Right, like the like in the hands of people, like we have had some like really, really good like the one that Blaine opened. It was episode 1. If people want to go find it, it's a joke that I'm glad he said, because it turned he's, as he was saying it, I went, before he said it, it was my favorite street joke at the time, but I hated myself because I heard it from Bert Kreischer, who's a comic I don't care for. And
yeah, Bert is, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Like
I joke. There's a joke. So Miles isn't here tonight. He couldn't make it. But Miles' title is Bert Crusher before there was Bert Crusher.
Right.
He goes around without his shirt. He's just a horrible slob.
Yeah.
He looks like hell. He is totally inappropriate and says weird things to people and makes them uncomfortable just by staring at them.
Right.
And I'm like, I keep telling him, I'm like, Bert Crusher stole your whole persona, and you've done nothing about it. And he's like. Does he
call himself the apparatus? The apparatus.
Oh, I don't remember that word, but he calls himself all kinds of stuff.
Instead of the machine. I was just trying to find like a euphemism for machine. And
well, I think he's trademarked that, so you probably can't use it.
Yes.
But yeah, anyway, Bert Crusher. Then that's a whole other. Yeah, we could jump off on that.
He's great. He's fine. People like him. Like what you like. I just I feel I should be fully dressed on stage. That's all.
He's an LCD.
An LCD? What's that?
Lowest common denominator.
Got it. Okay.
Now I'm going to get myself in trouble.
No,
you're not. He'll beat the shit out of me.
I have a math degree and I didn't know what LCD was. Okay, Bob. I'm the guy who's in grief. Oh yeah, I have a math degree. Thought that. Yeah.
So Todd, you probably have to tell this joke now.
Which one?
Yeah, the one you were just building up there. Yeah.
Okay. So this lion is walking through the jungle. He's just looking at his kingdom, really. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what a lovely day. It's a lovely day to be king of this jungle. I am so happy to be here. You know, I'm a little part. So he bends down by this little pond and he starts drinking the water from the little pond to quench his thirst. Meanwhile, walking by is a gorilla who looks at the lion and goes, look at that asshole. Thinks he owns the place. You know what? I'll show him. So he runs up behind him and he fucks him in the ass very quickly, and then runs. And the lion is like, "What?" and turns around and he just sees like the rustling of the leaves behind him. So he's like, "Right." And so he just starts barreling through the forest trying to find who did this to him. And the gorilla is just like strolling through going, yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty fun. And he just happens to look over his shoulder and he sees the lion barreling down on him. And he goes, oh, shit. And so he starts jumping up the trees and he starts using the vines and trying to keep ahead of him. And the lion is just keeping pace the entire time, just like clawing his way through the forest right behind him. So the gorilla is like dodging left, dodging right. And, the lion is still just like right behind him. And so the gets a little bit of a headway ahead of the lion. And he breaks through this clearing and he finds this campsite where these explorers had been. They left for the day. So there's a whole bunch of tents and there's a smoldering campfire in the middle of the clearing. And there's a clothesline with some clothes on it. So the gorilla goes over and he grabs a shirt and pants and a hat. And he goes over to one of the chairs that's around the fire, and he sits down, and there's a newspaper, and he holds the newspaper up in front of his face to hide himself. So the lion breaks through the clearing, looks around, and sees the gorilla, in costume, behind him, and he yells over, "Hey, did you see a gorilla run through here?" And the gorilla goes, "What, you mean the one that fucked that lion in the ass?" And the lion goes, "It's in the papers."
Yeah, the jungle news travels fast.
I know. It's just like they are quick to print.
Yeah, they got a morning, noon, and night edition.
Yes. Extra, lion sodomized by pond.
That's what all the howler monkeys are there for.
Hey, boss, I got a scoop.
That's right. Yeah, the warthog is the editor, right? Exactly. Yeah. We got a whole thing going on here. Has anybody ever done a newsroom as animals bit? I don't know.
Zootopia didn't it?
Did they have a newsroom though?
Didn't they have like a news? Didn't they show like a news thing?
No idea.
No.
Darcy's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe. All right. Well, maybe it's already been done. I just was trying to give Michael Keaton some more work. That's all. He's not got enough.
He needs it.
He needs it.
Yes.
That's a good one. Yeah. It's in the papers already.
It's in the papers.
You got to change it up now for the digital age, though, don't you? I mean, we get that, but
so
like, it's on Instagram already.
Like this. He's on his iPhone Pro.
Right. Exactly.
Like this.
Oh, it's on TikTok already?
Yeah.
TikTok?
The meme?
Is there footage?
There's like AI coverage now of like, the surprise face.
Did Megan Thee Stallion retweet it?
She's too busy learning Japanese.
We're just workshopping this. That's all.
Yes, there is one joke that always sticks with me. Like if someone says, if you're just looking for a quick one, if they point to me and go, "Yeah, tell me a joke." Guy goes in for a job interview, and the interviewer says to him, "What would you say is your biggest weakness?"
Mm-hmm.
And the guy thinks for a second. He goes, "I think my biggest weakness is I'm too honest." And the interviewer goes, "Well, forgive me for saying, but I don't think honesty is really a weakness." And the guy goes, "I don't give a fuck what you think."
I think I just read that one somewhere recently. I don't know where it was at, but
and I really think the reason that's front of mind is that there's so many situations I find myself in where I go, "I don't give a fuck what you think." Not here, Bob. You're cool. You're cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And hence his not being the top breadwinner in the household.
Oh no. I come home, my wife's like, "It happened again, didn't it?"
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what you. Hey, where are you going?
How many more towns in Canada can we move to? There's only so many. We're gonna end up in Yellowknife, and I'm gonna be pissed.
Right. Thank God it's not fucking Whitehorse.
That's right.
I'm not going to a Callowit.
So no, Darcy, you haven't said anything. I see that you are flashing your JJ Jimmy Walker.
Oh yeah.
Your JJ Jimmy Walker fandom there on your microphone.
Dynamite.
It says dynamite.
That, yes. Don't rub it like that. Honest, don't. You stop.
So now how come you're the ones that kind of got, Darcy, sounds like Darcy was the brains here. Let's do a podcast. And he kind of stepped out and then let you make up all these stupid names.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's just been along for the ride. But how did that all come about? Darcy, why did you say, "Todd, let's do a podcast," instead of just saying, "I'll just do a podcast and tell only Jimmy Walker jokes"?
which are also a team of writers that are still working to this day.
That's true. Yeah, he's doing them for commercials for Medicare or something.
Yes.
I love
so
Jimmy
back
Walker,
in the before times. Web 2.0 and podcasting had just kind of started. There weren't too many. I was listening to a lot of technology podcasts. I work in IT.
Okay.
And
Leo Laporte,
Todd Cochran. Do you know that?
Okay, I'm familiar.
Yeah. So I was listening to his tech podcast, and he was always talking about how great it was that just he could have a podcast, that anyone could create their own content. And everyone was talking. Early days everyone was just like, can you believe they let us do this? Like,
Right. Yes.
Well, nobody's watching. That's
Right.
the problem.
yeah, well,
No one will hear me say this.
That's right. Exactly.
Oops.
You could go outside on the porch.
so for me to have a podcast was just like a technical puzzle I wanted to solve. Right.
Oh, okay.
So I had no content to deliver.
So you're like
Right.
Like Todd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Mr.
very first
Content.
episode,
I know a loudmouth that won't stop talking. Do I wear Kari? Do we know any loudmouth idiots that won't shut their pie holes? Do we know any? Oh, Todd, right.
There's
Okay.
that lion down by the watering hole.
Yeah.
so very early days, I was just hand coding the XML feed.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything set up
I
yet
know
for it.
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Well, those were the days, weren't they?
they were the Wild West.
Those
Make
were
sure
the
you got
great
the
days.
semicolon in the right place.
I stole
all
their
goes to
XML
shit.
feed from Leo Laporte.
Okay.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
can steal it because it's just
Yeah.
not protected. So
Yeah,
all
every
the
week,
little
hand
stuff.
coding it, running it through feedvalidator.org and having,
Right.
that
Yeah.
doesn't work. Yeah. So
That's fun. So you just like making things. So
Yeah.
What's the next? What's the progression then? You got the podcast. You got Todd, doing his bits and everything, and you got the pub thing. I mean, what next steps were there for you? We already heard about Todd. He got fired.
At a certain point, I left the show.
Yes,
Oh,
he
that's
did.
when you-
That's right.
At a certain point, I was like, I was getting busy at work, and also there wasn't anything new to do. Like technically, it was done. It ran itself.
Okay.
Todd could run it. Todd was running it.
Right.
Right? And so, so I left for about a year.
WordPress. Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah.
WordPress and PowerPress plugin,
Yeah.
took care of it all. So I left for about a year, I think. And
You
that's
did.
when I realized that, I wasn't getting anything out of it from a technical creative standpoint, but it was one of my only social events of my week.
Yeah.
I was just talking to people at work and my wife, and that was it.
Yeah.
I came crawling back and
Oh, he,
talking.
okay.
he came back very callow, just in rags.
I was gonna say his wife penned a note to his shirt and sent him out and said,
Exactly.
"Please have Darcy help you again for a
Yes.
little while."
Will you please let Darcy talk to mid-level Canadian comedians, please?
He
Will you
needs something to do.
Please let that happen. And the odd celebrity from the States is playing comedy bar. Could you do that? and we had to run a chefs for quite a
really?
while. Yeah, we had chefs, and I love talking with chefs.
Do they travel around or something?
No, we had Toronto. Well, there was one, Bob Bloomer, and this is in Darcy's off season, I think it was, or it might not have been, because the reason was I sent Bob Bloomer is a Canadian chef who did a whole bunch of like shows in the States. He was the Eclectic Chef, I think was his show.
Eclectic. Okay, I'm not familiar, but I don't really follow
Something
shows,
like
so.
that. It was like
this, like little trailer, right?
Yes.
Little camper trailer.
Yes. And so he would drive around North America and stop in and do things. But when I scheduled the meeting, it was over Outlook, and I don't think he calibrated the time zone difference for the invite.
Wow. Yeah.
So he was, the invite was like 1:30 his time, 4:30 my time. And I just happened to be home. And 1:30, there's a knock at the door. I went, who the fuck is that? Because it's Toronto. No one does that. And
in Toronto, they just walk in. They just open. It's all unlocked.
Doors were open. He could have hello, and that could have been. And I go, and there's Bob Bloomer standing in front of me, and he's like, I am like, Bob. He goes, you're 3 hours early, and he goes, no, I'm not. And I went, you know what? You're absolutely right. Let's do this right now. So Darcy was not part of it. I'm Bob Bloomer. So
it says it on the truck outside.
it was, you know what? And he was, I will say this, he was a little testy off the top. He was a little testy because he, that is not a great intro.
Right.
But by the end of it, we kind of like got through the rhythm of it, and he was fine. But like,
And what was his joke?
oh, this was in the Comedy Loves Above days. We didn't have jokes on Comedy Above
I
the
thought
Pub.
maybe you have a good joke.
never
I don't
jokes.
know.
Never jokes.
Yeah.
Never jokes.
Oh yeah.
Not one. If you ever saw Nightline, it was basically that. But
Oh, it was like Nightline. Okay.
yeah.
Tonight we have the early arrival of Bob Bloomer.
Yes.
And then you're like, Bob, I mean, you're famous for cooking. Dinner's coming up. I've got a whole bag full of groceries here if you'd like to make something.
Yeah. There's none of that.
He's like, I never made a cake out of rat poisoning. And
you haven't? Oh, Bob.
That's interesting. Chefs, I would now there's whole podcasts about chefs these days. So maybe you should have took a U-turn in that.
Should have done that.
That's a big category now.
I think we would have run out of chefs, to be quite honest.
No, I mean, you can talk to guys flipping burgers and McDonald's.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. I mean, like the reason it kind of worked is that as a comic, I sort of have that. So I've got the ability to steer towards jokes and gags or whatever. But the reason that chefs work, or I thought work, is that their creative process is very similar to the creative process in generating material and writing jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Because they will try out a dish and then give it to someone and they'll go, that sucks, and then they go back and then they retool it and they go, that's too salty, and then they go and then it's a trial and error process, not unlike like writing jokes and stuff like that. And plus they're kind of night owls because they have to go through a dinner service, and we're ending our shows at like 10 o'clock. Industry nights are like on a Monday when everything's kind of dark. There's substance abuse problems, there's all those things.
I see. Yes.
Yeah, there's so many things that like the Venn
parallel lives. Yeah.
It's the Venn diagram is kind of like that. The only difference is there's more asparagus on the chef's side, and
interesting. Yeah, a lot of depression, all that good stuff.
Self-loathing.
So they're like cutting cutters. You cut yourself a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, making it very glamorous. It's
interesting.
I was like, but it would be that would be interesting to I don't know, maybe have some kind of competition where the chef has to throw like Iron Chef, but the other side of it's a comedian, and they have to come up with some kind of an act in the same time this guy comes up with a dish, and then they taste and listen at the same time, and they're like, this meal is great and you suck. Or vice versa. Right.
I you know what? That's not a bad idea, to be quite honest. it's not.
It's yours.
Here's your
network. If you're listening.
But here's the thing. The material, because it's an ingredient, it's kind of like the opening of Beat Bobby Flay, where here it is. It's like apricots. So then the chef gets to go and make an apricot dish, and then the comic goes, "What the fuck am I going to do about apricots?
Apricot. What can I say about apricots?"
Right. Whereas I think it should be like they open the cloche and it's like self-loathing, and the chef has to figure out what that means. So there has to be two rounds. I think there needs to be a concept and then an ingredient, and then
bulimia.
Yeah. But that,
so that out there.
I guess.
Positive thing.
So I guess the chef just makes a smoothie, something that's going to go easy both ways,
right.
And
maybe they should randomize it, and so like you get like chunky bulimia, or you get
the we're saving up the. Do you watch a lot of Food Network?
No, I don't.
No,
but go right ahead.
No, my wife and I, we have like the Food Network logo is burned into the bottom right hand corner of our screen.
Does she call you Alton Brown when she's
Oh, absolutely not. He's way more talented.
You, sir, Todd, are the Canadian Alton Brown.
He's her hall pass.
That's good eats.
Yeah, that's good eats. And to be fair, he's like number 8 on mine. So
oh well, okay. Well, if it worked out, then
right. When we talk about the list,
that's a weekend right there.
Yeah. But no, we tend to watch a lot of that, and so it's funny you mentioned they need to randomize it. There is a show that Guy Fieri hosts, and it is arguably, I would say, probably the second hardest chef competition show that they have on the Food Network, where it's like a bracket. It's like March Madness, but it's all chefs. And they have a what they call the randomizer. And the randomizer gives you an ingredient, a dish theme, and a piece of equipment you have to use,
okay.
and then like a style, and the amount of time that you're going to do. So it could be like chicken thighs, fancy brunch. You need to use the ice cream machine. Make it spicy, and then you get 10 minutes to do it. It's something like that.
Oh well, and what you described, I have no clue. You just braise the chicken thighs and throw them in a bowl with some ice cream.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly
it.
Put
a little tahini on it. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Look at you with the tahini. Look at you.
Yeah, I mean, just sprinkling on. It's all good. It's good stuff.
It's just nice tahini drizzle. The judges are like, is this tahini? I'm getting tahini. I mean, and botulism from chicken thighs being cooked for 10 minutes. That's the other thing I'm getting.
They're like, these chicken thighs are raw.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they got ice cream on them. They taste
good. They do. It's great.
Just let it melt. It'll be fine.
Yes.
It'll all be good. Yeah. All the judges get sick every week. Whoa, we lost another judge this week.
I say that one's the second hardest because I think the hardest one, and they haven't done it. They did it last year, and I hope they bring it back. It's 24 and 24.
Okay.
And it's 24 chefs.
I thought you were going to say something like Jack Bauer.
No, I think it's called 24 and 24, the 24-hour challenge or whatever. They bring in, I think, 48 chefs or 50 chefs or something like that.
24 went out the window on this one. It's
spring
50. Make it an even 50.
It's a 24-hour competition.
Oh my! It sounds like a lot of burnt hands.
A lot of burnt hands. A lot of medic.
Missing fingers.
Yes.
Keep your knife sharp.
And you think okay, it's reality TV. I'm sure there's breaks and stuff like that. It looks like there isn't because you're seeing chefs in physical tears, and they'll do vox pops while they're doing it. It's like, what's wrong with you? It's like, if I don't stop moving, I'm going to fall apart. I have to just keep.
I think you're waiting for Naked and a Chef coming soon.
Oh my God! There was. Oh, so speaking of Alton Brown, did you ever see his show Cutthroat Kitchen?
No, I can barely. I would eat cereal. That's all I ever do is eat cereal.
Okay. So
it's a great episode of Good Eats.
Yes. So he. I can't. I'm amazed that the show lasted as long as it did. By the way, did you want us to talk about Food Network shows on this?
No, talk about whatever you want.
Did you? Because there was no brief or agenda that you sent us. You just sent us a link.
We're fast approaching our 2002
okay, all right.
season here.
Here we go. So here it is. It's all about Alton Brown food shows. It was a show where he showed up with a briefcase. There were 4 chefs that were going to compete.
Food in a briefcase doesn't sound very
in a briefcase. Money in a briefcase. It's money in a briefcase.
It's money in a briefcase. Okay.
So there's 4 chefs. It's an elimination round. So there's 3 rounds. Every round, a chef leaves, and he gives every chef $25,000.
What, right? For hookers and blow or what?
No. He gives them all $25,000, and they get to keep that money throughout the show so long as they stay. The thing is, there's a series of auctions over the course that they have to bid on. So, he'll give them a thing. It's like, make me a tasty burger. It's like, okay, tasty burger. And then it's like, okay, you can bid on the fact that you are the only one that can use ground beef, and everyone else needs to use yogurt and yams, right? And it's like, and they cut away. So it was like, I think I want the beef and not the yams.
Yeah, maybe I should put a
right.
Put a
So then they're bidding on this, and they have a judge that comes down and in a blind tasting says, "This is the dish I hate," and then that person goes away.
Oh, okay.
So they're sitting there, you start with $25,000 in your hand, like what you're going to walk home with. But then there was things like, and the reason that I go like, how is this even possible? They had one thing is like you could make one of the chefs, one of your competitors, wear their only cutting board, and it was this hat with a cutting board on it, and so they're trying to make like a paella, and it's like how the fuck are they not cutting their hands off in this?
Professionals, Todd.
I get, but not up here. It's like, I'm not doing jokes on bungee cord. You know, it's like, oh, but Todd, you're a professional. Not like this, I'm not. I don't know bungee jokes.
Todd, you got to tell the gorilla joke, but you're the gorilla.
You're the gorilla. What? Oh no, he's okay. No, he gets to have sex and then he dresses up at the end. I'm okay with the gorilla. That's fine. You're
hoping the lion turn around.
He has a day with a story he can tell later. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
The gorilla's doing great. The lion, he's living in shame.
Yeah. He doesn't. He thinks it's all over the papers.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have any idea how we got on to cooking shows, but
I don't know.
So what is coming up? I mean, what's next? I mean, so you've got okay, so here's one.
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing that for a while. It seems
like
you're almost ready for another turn here, I think.
Well,
you mentioned that.
so I do live shows.
Sure.
I do live shows.
I was hoping that you did other things.
Yes.
Just this one.
Yeah.
I know Darcy said he is obviously somebody who's employed in other things, technology-wise. Though,
mm-hmm. So I have a show coming out. If you have listeners in Ottawa. Mm-hmm.
Well, besides you, I don't know. Tom Green.
Okay. You know what? No, Tom doesn't. Does he live in Ottawa now? I saw the documentary.
In Ottawa, and I
think he's on the outskirts of Ottawa. I think that's where his farm is now.
He's got a ranch or something. He's got a lion and a gorilla.
He's got a lion and a gorilla?
I don't know.
Oh no, that's not going to go well. Leave a clothesline of clothes. You'll know what happens.
I'm just
make sure you got like several copies of the Ottawa Citizen lying around. You'll thank me. So the show I run is called Write 'Em Up, and it's my favorite thing that I do. Mm-hmm. And we're actually going to be celebrating 9 years.
Well, now I don't have I gotta make a thing for that now. Jeez,
I'm sorry.
Don't keep talking.
Okay. So the way Write 'Em Up works is I host a comedy show. There we go. Thank you. And that was quick, Bob.
I can type.
That was really good.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I host a comedy show. And this started in Toronto when I was living there. And then when I moved here to Ottawa, I was like, well, I got to try and sort this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is I bring I create a comedy show and I put comics on it and they come up and they perform. Mm-hmm. Standard issue. But while the comics are performing, I've got a team of writers that are writing roast jokes about everything that comic does, says, what they're wearing, everything. And they write them on little index cards. So the comic goes away. I go to the writers and I collect those roast jokes and I read them to the audience.
Okay.
And whatever they write down, I got to read.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So it's humiliating.
It's humiliating and it provides anonymity and emotional distance for the writers.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
And so
I have a feeling there's $25,000 in somebody's hand who can put it in Todd Van Allen's hand.
Someone's going to be chopping their head later.
Yeah.
But
just stare at the person who wrote that joke, Todd. Just stare at him while you're saying it.
It is the funnest thing that I do. It is I love doing it, and one of the reasons is that and it has been pointed out to me by several people in Ottawa that, hey, you only do like some time off the top and then your job is done. It's like, yeah, pretty much, actually.
That's the best. That's what Darcy did.
I'm just reading. Yeah.
I put together this whole thing and then I just sit back.
Yeah.
And,
everything I learned from Darcy. So.
Yeah. Now, does Write 'em Up have a website?
It does. Well, not social presence. If they go at Write 'em Up Show on basically every platform out there, you can find us.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's see if I can type fast again.
There we go. At Write 'em Up Show. That's it.
There we go.
And so I was happy. One of the things that like when I first moved, perfect. Oh my God, that's even the right font. That's gorgeous. One of the things I thought, like when I was, because we moved during the pandemic, and there were no shows. So like people, like my friends in Toronto, it's like, what's the comedy scene like? And go, what scene? There's nothing.
Right.
There's no scene of anything.
It's called COVID.
Exactly. The grocery stores are cool. So
you should have been doing that in the aisles. You could have been
exactly.
Hey, you want me to insult your wife? Write it down.
There's the arrows, and people are gonna they're going into the aisle 4, and they went, what was the punchline? It's like we didn't hear that.
Oh, yeah.
So one thing I noticed is that they have because Ottawa's a smaller city, the community, the comedy community is smaller, and because of that, it's got way more of a family basis. Like it's really kind of anchored in family. And
are you saying there's some kind of comedy mafia in Ottawa?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
No. There's no one's sleeping with the fishes in Ottawa.
Oh, okay.
No, that would make Ottawa exciting. It's very much like it's a very supportive community. It's very everyone knows each other. So because of that, they have these these annual award show that they put on, where they create nominees. It's basically like the Oscars or the Emmys, but it's for the local scenes. So like best comic, best show, best comedy club, best all that.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole show is a roast. So everyone roasts each other. So because of that, I was sitting there going, well, roast culture is already here.
Right.
This is going to be a no-brainer. And it was too good because the first show that I did here in Ottawa, I realized that going forward, I would have to tell the writers, okay, keep it in the room because the audience doesn't know that the comic that you're roasting tanked in Cornwall, is sleeping with a waitress in this bar. So like they don't know that, so you have to elevate the joke. So it was kind of the first time I had to do that, which is like, okay, pull it back a little bit. Just, keep it in.
Yeah. Now, I'm surprised that you didn't combine your love of cooking with this and actually call it Roast 'em Up.
Roast 'em up. Oh, that's actually, they have until the chicken's done.
It'd be like if you have a turkey and a little button pops out.
Doink, it's done.
Doing. Yeah.
That's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
And they'll be like, Todd, you didn't have to do anything.
It's even worse.
That's interesting. Well, that's now, Darcy, how do you fit into this Write 'em Up business?
I sometimes buy tickets.
Yes,
and then
that's right. Yeah.
Fall asleep and don't go to the show.
Yeah, this is true.
Makes you buy the tickets after all you've done for him.
No, I have told him he gets a free pass, and he never takes me up on it.
Oh, really?
I feel like I would totally flake if it was just a comp situation. So I buy the ticket. I feel like it'll give me,
and
it'll
like,
motivate
I got
me to go.
$250 on this,
and then it's like end of the week.
Yeah,
I'm not going outside.
You can barely get him in front of a microphone at 9:00 on a Friday.
It's cold. I'm not going outside. It's Canada, for Christ's sake. Anybody tell you guys that?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's frigid up here. It's
we've heard.
I'm familiar a little bit. I'm not that far north, but it was kind of chilly here today. So I can only imagine.
Where's there again, Bob? Remind me.
Where is there?
Yeah. Where are you?
Oh, where am I? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in St. Louis, Missouri.
That's right. That's
or
right.
Missouri.
Missouri.
Depending on your proclivity.
Right. Home of the Blues.
Home of the Blues. Yeah, Home of the Blues, which is hockey. I know that part, even though I don't know other things. Home of the Cardinals, you know. Home of Well, it used to be home of Anheuser-Busch, but they've been bought out by a conglomerate. So
correct. Unibrew, I think now, or something like that.
InBev or whatever they call
InBev, that's
themselves.
the guy.
Yeah.
That's
Unibrew. I think Unibrew is Unibrew's another one.
Right.
Unibrew sounds like something from Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Yes.
Oh, GA, gotta go to Unibrew.
Right. I figured Unibrew would be like what some microbrewery would call one of their lagers, where they've got Frida on the label.
Yeah.
It's just like Unibrew.
The Unibrew.
You know, and they have like a whole lines like her and like Bert from Sesame Street. You know,
I can't do it. Can you do a Bert impersonation? Hey Ernie, drink Unibrew.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Well, guys, we're into our third season here,
there we go.
And I appreciate you coming on. Just in this one show, 3 seasons. It's hard to believe.
It's incredible. What a milestone!
Wild.
What a milestone!
Crossing time zones, crossing countries, crossing seasons.
Crossing off listeners that have tuned out probably around minute 8. That's going to be my guess.
Crossing genres, comedy chefs,
right.
And everything. If you're listening, all ideas have been copyrighted by OK, Here's One and Static Radio. So if you decide to do this, Mark Maron, you son of a bitch, we're going to get you.
Pow! I just pooped myself. Am I close? Did I?
You can catch these guys on the OK, So Here's One podcast, Osho, or is it Osho? I can't remember how you do the abbreviation.
Yeah, oshopod.com. Yeah.
Osho probably would get more views, to be honest with you. But anyway, it's oshopod.com. Go see him. Very funny. And then also go to Write 'em Up, where you can, be nasty to your partner in the show. If people want, because we actually archived the video shows, because we did them live over the pandemic, because we had our fourth and fifth anniversaries, something like that, during the pandemic. No, this was annual. We started in 20. We started in 2016. We started Write 'em Up in 2016. Oh, okay.
And then so it would have been the 4th anniversary show in 2020. And so we did that online. We did and so I just kept doing these things online because we can go out. If you go to @Write 'em Up Show on Facebook, if you go to the video section, you can actually see the previous shows that we did during the pandemic. So it's kind of like this nice little time capsule of what the show's kind of about. So.
But if you go, you get Todd to read whatever you write.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about that, folks.
Give great pause. Get me canceled by Friday.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to go the way of Roseanne. So Write 'em Up and oshopod.com. See them both. We're going to wrap it up here, guys. Hang on for just a second while this thing uploads, and I'll see you on the other side. Everybody, next time. Thank you.